Hello everybody and welcome to today's review of Cruella. It is the new film directed by Craig Gillespie starring Emma Stone and Emma Thompson. Just like the film Maleficent, this is yet again another origin story of one of Disney's most iconic villains. This movie focuses on Cruella de Vil. For those of you who are not familiar with the film 101 Dalmatians, Cruella de Vil is an overly financed heiress who has a thing for smoking and fur coats. Her plan is to acquire at least 99 Dalmatian puppies with the intention of waiting until they're big enough so that she can kill them, skin them, in order to make the ultimate Dalmatian fur coat. If she had succeeded, it would have looked something like this. You know, I still cannot believe that the Disney store actually made Cruella a Dalmatian fur coat. That is sick. In this movie, Cruella, or Estella as that is her real name, is living on the streets of London as a thief with Horace and Jasper, two people who would eventually become her henchmen, years and years prior to the events of 101 Dalmatians. Eventually, she gets a job working as an assistant to the Baroness, played by Emma Thompson. The Baroness is a very famous fashion designer, and Estella dreams of one day becoming a fashion designer herself, and the Baroness recognizes that in her. However, their working relationship then sparks a rivalry between the two, and then Estella adopts her alter ego, Cruella, and starts to build her own fashion line. And basically throughout the film, they try to upstage one another until we come to the ultimate showdown of who gets to be number one. I will be honest with you, this was a surprisingly entertaining film. Lately, Disney has not had a good track record when it comes to remaking their own IP. Films like Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King, totally pointless movies. Now with Cruella, this is actually an interesting film, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I love the talent behind this film. Craig Gillespie, the director of Cruella, is actually the director of I, Tonya, which happened to be my favorite film of 2017. And when you watch this movie, you can kind of tell it was directed by the same director because it's shot and edited in a certain way, and just like I, Tonya, Cruella is focusing on a girl who has a lot of talent but is constantly misunderstood, and then eventually she makes a lot of questionable choices that make her out to look like a villain. Yeah. And also, Emma Stone as Cruella, I was impressed. I was kind of worried at first when they cast an American to portray a very British character. However, I have a lot of respect for Emma Stone. When I saw her in The Favorite, I already knew she could pull off the English accent very well. And I know everybody's used to seeing Glenn Close as the live-action Cruella de Vil, but in this one, Emma Stone definitely makes this character her own. And Emma Thompson as the Baroness, she is despicable, she is hateful, narcissistic, self-centered. She's fantastic. I cannot say anything bad about this performance. She's just really good in this movie. And she's already shown the ability to portray a bitch in movies like Saving Mr. Banks. And actually, one of the writers of that film had a hand in this one as well. The writer of The Favorite and the Hulu series The Great is actually involved in this script as well. And this guy is also known for his dark humor. The dialogue in this film is very malicious, but it's also incredibly funny at times. And the costumes by Jenny Bevan is obviously a highlight. By the way, if she does win an Oscar next year, you heard it here first. So yeah, like I said, I love the talent that's behind this film. It's basically built off the strengths of all the good stuff that these people have done before. However, in a way that does become a detriment because there were so many callbacks to the works of the artists that were involved in this film that it sort of started to feel more familiar. To kind of quote but not quote the movie, it is stunning but still very familiar. And I must say, this film did feel very un-Disney-like. You know, Disney has a knack for making a lot of kid-friendly films. I actually applaud the company for being a little bit bold and trying to make this film not like a Disney film. There's a lot of darkness in this film. However, it's not always the case. Occasionally there would be times where I felt like, okay, Disney is going in a good direction. But then all of a sudden they kind of tone it down a bit and then realize like, oh, wait a minute, this is a family film. We need to, kind of take a few steps back. So basically you could say they took 2 steps forward but 1 step back. They are trying to be bold, but at the same time they're playing it safe. However, one thing that I don't like what Disney has done, especially in films like Maleficent, is trying to get the audience to sympathize so much with the villain villain that at some point they don't even feel like villains anymore. And with Cruella, I feel like they tried to take her in so many different directions that they were never really certain which one to use, so they decided to use all of them. There is a hint that this character is suffering from multiple personality disorder. In fact, a lot of the times how I saw Emma portray Cruella is that the alter ego that Estella tried to create in Cruella was more like a facade. When I watch the 101 Dalmatian movie, I see Cruella as how she is. She's a diva, she's a bit narcissistic. That's just who she is. But in this movie, there is another side to her that may be a more true her side, but she decides to ignore that part of herself. Basically, when I see her act like Cruella, she's not acting like herself. This is not who she is. But the film kind of suggests that it is, but then it suggests that it's not. It's so confusing that I'm not even sure how to feel about her. And I don't want to give anything away, but by the time you reach the end of the film, I kept thinking to myself, she doesn't have an animal cruelty bone in her body. And that is a huge deal, because if you know the story of 101 Dalmatians, you know what this character is intending to do down the road. You know, she's not entirely likable, but by the end of the film, she's not a villain. Not to these eyes, anyway. Also, just another tiny little nitpick. A lot of people have been complaining about the music selection in this film. This film uses a lot of familiar songs within a few scenes. I actually don't mind that at all. In fact, I think it enhances the entertainment value of this film. However, there were a few occasions where the music was so loud that you cannot even hear what the characters are saying. That is a rookie mistake, and I wish they hadn't done that. But overall, I still found this film to be very entertaining, and I can see myself watching this film again down the line. Like I said, because of the people that were involved in this film, and because of the way it was directed, shot, edited, and acted, it's pretty decent. I'd recommend it. So I'm gonna give Cruella a B-. Thank you for watching my video, ladies and gentlemen. I hope to see you again next time.